During the 1972 Summer Olympic Games in Munich, a shocking and tragic event unfolded that would forever change the landscape of international sports and terrorism. The incident centered around a group of Palestinian terrorists affiliated with the organization Black September who targeted the Israeli Olympic team. This hostage situation not only gripped and horrified the world, but also brought the Palestinian cause to the forefront in a violent and tragic manner. Let's delve into the intricate details of the events that transpired during those fateful days. The Olympic Games held in Berlin in 1936 under Nazi rule had been used as a platform to promote Adolf Hitler's ideology of Aryan supremacy and to showcase Nazi Germany as a burgeoning global power. Fast forward to 1972, and the stage was set for the Olympic Games to be hosted in Munich, West Germany. This time, the organizers intended to present a very different image, that of a transformed, modern, and peaceful Germany, distancing itself from the horrors of its Nazi past. However, even as preparations were underway, the organizers faced challenges related to security and international tensions. The world had changed significantly since 1936, and terrorism had become a global concern. Nevertheless, the organizers opted for a relatively low-profile security presence in an attempt to convey a sense of openness, freedom, and reconciliation. This decision would prove to be tragically flawed. As part of the preparations, the Munich Olympics Organizing Committee enlisted the expertise of police psychologist Georg Sieber to assess potential security risks. Sieber's analysis remarkably predicted a scenario that would later closely mirror the tragic events that unfolded. He outlined the possibility of Palestinian gunmen infiltrating the Olympic Village, seizing Israeli athletes as hostages, and demanding the release of political prisoners held by Israel. Black September, an extremist faction of the Palestinian organization Fatah, ultimately executed this very plan. On the morning of September 5, 1972, 8 members of Black September, disguised as athletes, scaled the fence of the Olympic Village and gained entry using a stolen key. Carrying duffel bags filled with weapons including pistols, Kalashnikov rifles, and grenades, they made their way to the apartments housing the Israeli Olympic team members. The terrorists' initial target was Apartment 1, which housed Israeli coaches and officials. The first to confront the terrorists was Josef Gutfreund, a wrestling referee who was awakened by scratching at the door. When he approached, the door began to open, and he was faced with armed, masked assailants. Gutfreund's quick thinking and shout of warning alerted his fellow occupants, initiating a chaotic scene of struggle and violence. Tuvia Sokolovsky, a weightlifting coach, managed to escape through a window, raising the alarm. The terrorists encountered fierce resistance from the Israeli athletes and coaches, some of whom attempted to defend themselves using makeshift weapons. Unfortunately, the attackers had the advantage of surprise and superior firepower. One wrestling coach, Moshe Weinberg, grabbed a small knife in an attempt to halt the intruders, but he was shot at close range and fatally wounded. This marked the beginning of a tragic series of events that would lead to further loss of life. Despite the valiant efforts of some of the Israeli athletes, the terrorists gained control of the situation. They captured and corralled the hostages, with some taken to different apartments to further isolate them. The captives were now bargaining chips in the terrorists' demand for the release of Palestinian prisoners held in Israeli jails. As news of the hostage situation spread, the international community watched in shock and disbelief. Negotiations between the German authorities, Israeli officials, and the terrorists ensued. The captors' demands shifted from the release of 234 prisoners to a demand for safe passage to an Arab country. In an ill-fated rescue attempt, German law enforcement sought to ambush the captors during a staged transfer of hostages to an awaiting airplane. However, the operation went awry, leading to a chaotic and deadly firefight at Fürstenfeldbruck Airport. Tragically, all 9 Israeli hostages were killed, along with 5 of the Black September terrorists. A German police officer also lost his life during the operation. The Munich massacre left the world in shock and mourning, and it revealed numerous failures and shortcomings in security planning, intelligence sharing, and crisis management. The event highlighted the need for more comprehensive counter-terrorism strategies and international cooperation in the face of evolving threats. In the aftermath of the tragedy, the Israeli government initiated Operation Wrath of God, a covert mission to track down and eliminate those responsible for the Munich massacre. This retaliatory campaign aimed to send a message that acts of terrorism against Israeli citizens would not go unanswered. However, it also led to instances of mistaken identity and unintended casualties, raising ethical and moral questions about the consequences of such actions. The Munich Olympics of 1972 were intended to symbolize a new era of global unity and peaceful coexistence. Instead, they became a somber reminder of the vulnerability of international events to acts of terror. The Munich massacre left an indelible mark on the world's collective memory, shaping subsequent approaches to security and counter-terrorism efforts. It's important to remember and honor the lives of the victims, the athletes, coaches, and the police officer who lost their lives that day. The tragedy also sparked ongoing debates about the appropriate response to terrorism, the complexities of hostage rescue operations, and the ethical dilemmas surrounding revenge and justice in the face of heinous acts. As we reflect on the Munich Olympics and its aftermath, we are reminded of the critical importance of learning from history to prevent such atrocities from recurring. The Munich massacre serves as a poignant reminder that the pursuit of peace and security requires constant vigilance, adaptability, and a commitment to fostering understanding and cooperation on a global scale.